All right, so for the sake of context, I had included Michael Vick's original statements and assertions about Colin Kaepernick and his stance on Colin Kaepernick's views and his platform. So now we're going to go into Shannon Luther King and his normal over theatrical diatribes. I honestly believe that Shannon is starting to breathe in too many of his own fumes. He's getting too many congratulations from black internet revolutionaries, and he's really starting to ham it up. You can see that he's really being a ham now when it gets to the pro-black rhetoric. But let's see what he has to say.
Michael Vick said yesterday that Colin Kaepernick's on-field production is the biggest reason he has not been signed by an NFL team. Vick was here at FS1 and gave some advice to Kaepernick on Speak for Yourself. Let's take a listen.
The first thing we got to get Colin to do is cut his hair. You know, I mean, listen, I'm not up here to try to be politically correct, but, you know, even if he puts cornrows in it, I don't think he should represent himself, you know, in that way in terms of, you know, just the hairstyle. Just go clean cut. You know, why not? You know, you're already dealing with a lot of controversy surrounding this issue.
This morning, Vick clarified his statement with this tweet. Colin Kaepernick's hair has nothing to do with him not being on an NFL roster right now. Let's be clear.
Now, we've already read over this statement from Michael Vick. He said that his hair has nothing to do with him not being on the NFL roster right now. Let's be clear. In other words, what Michael Vick is trying to say is his hair is not the reason why he's not signed, but he should cut his hair so that he can try to placate his sponsors, his employers. All right? That's just something that you do when you want to be employed. Now, I don't believe that Michael Vick has any problem with Colin Kaepernick's afro. I don't think anybody with common sense has a problem with an afro. But you do have to subjugate yourself when you seek employment. That's just common sense. All right. But as we know, common sense and logic and rationale is not something that is really indicative of the so-called pro-black. All right. What's indicative of the so-called pro-black is the victim mentality, the whining, the complaining, the please master, give me a kiss on the forehead bullshit. And we're going to see that right now.
Clear. I wish only the best for Colin. I stand by what I've said about him being signed at some point this season to help an NFL club. I think he is a great kid who has a bright future, and I'm looking forward to seeing him on the field again. Trust and believe what I said was not in malice. Joined by Rob Parker. Welcome, Rob.
What's happening? Good morning, everybody.
Shannon, let me start with you. Does Vick have a point?
No, he doesn't have a point. And what Michael Vick just did was perpetuate a stereotype that blacks that look a certain way, dressed a certain way, should be judged a certain way.
Let's understand something first off, and let's be real about this. And even the Bible tells you that a man's countenance, his attire, tell you who he is. All right? That's just a fact of the matter. How a person dresses, how they carry themselves, their cleanliness, their choice of adornment, it is going to register in other people a certain way. Now, you can choose to either care or not care. But from a purely logical and rational perspective, if your viewpoint is not to care or to not regard the approval of others, then your mindset should be on being your own boss. And this is why I constantly come on here and I tell you, brothers, that should be what you should be focusing on, right? Even if you have to work for someone else, right? For the sake of your own self-expression, for the sake of your own maturity as a man, you should be trying to aim for making your own money, being your own boss. What the so-called pro-blacks are doing, guys like Shannon Sharp, is they're getting on TV and they're trying to promote an entitlement mentality. They're trying to promote an employee should be able to stipulate business acumen, or an employee should be able to determine what is appropriate in the workplace. And that's not convenient. That's not conventional anywhere, ever. All right. Anywhere you go when you work for somebody else, basically you have to follow their rules. Somebody should ask Shannon, How come you don't have an afro with a big beard and with a dashiki on? Right. Once again, like I said about Michael Smith, he's there with his clean cut look. Is that because he's trying to conform to Skip and Fox Sports 1, or is that because that's just how he chooses to look? I doubt it's just because that's how he chooses to look. If you were to catch Shannon in his regular attire, I'm sure that he's not wearing a business suit with a tie. All right, so he is conforming, but he's telling Colin Kaepernick that he should not have to conform. And like I've already said, and because I already know that certain pro-blacks are going to, being the simpletons that they are, they're going to say, well, other people have afros and cornrows. You have to understand something. I've already stated this. There's a difference between the perception that you have long hair or braids or an afro because you just choose to wear your hair that way, as opposed to you having an afro as a sign of rebellion. Colin Kaepernick has already verified that his hairstyle is a sign of rebellion. That's a fact. All right. So now that his hairstyle and the way that he comports himself is associated with his philosophical, his ideological beliefs, now he has to change his look in order to get people to believe that he's going to conform. That's the bottom line. He's already created this image for himself.
What does Colin Kaepernick's hair have to do with anything? He need to reform his image from what? Some of the media, and even Michael Vick, has convinced himself that what Colin Kaepernick did by taking a knee was equal to, if not worse, than what Michael Vick went to prison for.
At no time has Michael Vick stated that. That is a red herring that Shannon just put out there. It's something that he created in his own mind in order to validate his bullshit argument that Michael Vick somehow is siding with the conservative media. All Michael Vick did was give a suggestion. It's the same suggestion that people have been giving brothers who've been trying to get into corporate America for years, that you got to clean up your look and, look a certain way. You can either choose to do so or choose not to do so. But you cannot go into another environment and try to tell them how you feel like you should look after you've already declared your ideological beliefs. All right? That's part of being a rebel. You have to deal with you got to deal with the backlash.
Michael, you went to prison. You are a convicted felon. You needed to change your image. Colin Kaepernick took a knee. He took a knee in protest of black and brown unarmed men and women.
Yes, and he also created a sideshow in the NFL. All right? Something that his benefactors, the 30 plus owners, however many owners there are in the NFL, the owners didn't like. All right? He created a backlash that many of the conservative Caucasian fans who are paying the NFL didn't like. All right? These are just facts. From a business perspective, he was hurting their bottom line. All right? Well, for whatever reason it was, whether it was Kaepernick or the Donald Trump presidential race, the ratings in the NFL were down sizably last year. He hurt their bottom line. All right? From a business perspective, he hurt their bottom line. I'm not going to get into the Marxist, trying to cause distractions and anarchists, the anarchist type of tactics that he's using to try to cause disruptions and so on and so forth. It is what it is. Whatever he's doing is what he's doing. I know for a fact, like most pro-blacks, he has no end game. It's not like he's saying, I'm going to take a knee until we can come to some type of conclusion in regards to how to restore a culture, how to restore a type of order in the so-called black community, how we're going to have our own land, our own government, our own monetary system, and therefore we can have our own military and our own police force. That's, now if he was saying that and he laid it out point by point, then I could say, okay, this brother seems to actually have thought things out. But for a nigga to just come and grow an afro and take a knee, and for every little thing that somebody says, he wants to pull up a meme on the fucking Willie Lynch letter, all this bullshit, all this fake. The Willie Lynch letter is fake. All right. The Stockholm syndrome has some validity. But if you notice, he doesn't have the ability to articulate his own counter responses. He just doesn't have it. That's why I believe that a lot of his stances are contrived. All right, and he's being puppeted behind the scenes. But that's neither here nor there. You know, it's gonna come out eventually.
Being killed at a disproportionate high rate compared to the percentage in which they represent in America. And the officers that were doing this killing, they were being held unaccountable.
Let me say this, and I've said this already about the police. The job of the police is not to stop crimes. The job of the police is not to solve crimes. The job of the police is to levy charges. All right? When you levy a charge, that's the way of billing the debt slaves. The people here in this society are debt slaves. When the police charge you, all right, that's a way of levying the debt on you. All right, this is how much you owe for your car being parked here. This is how much you owe for jaywalking. This is how much you owe for that attempted rape. This is how much you owe for that attempted robbery. This is how much you owe for that murder. All right. This was known as a bond. A bond is a promise to pay. All right. So now if you don't have the money to pay off the debt, you work it off in the prison system. That's what it is. The penal system is just a mechanism for you to work off your debt. Okay? That's all it is. That's why America has more prisons than any country on the planet Earth. That's why. Everyone here is viewed as a debt slave. People are talking about the cops. Most police are idiots. All right? It is what it is. People might get offended by that. Most police are idiots. Most police join the police force normally because they just want to be able to express their anger or their rage in an orderly fashion. Are there people who join the police force because they want to make a difference in communities and fight and quote unquote fight crime? Yes, there are. There are people who join the police force with good intentions, but there's a culture in the police force, and you have to conform. And if you don't conform to that culture, you're gonna be removed. They're gonna remove you one way or the other. All right. If you guys get the chance, check out the movie Serpico with Al Pacino. All right. But once again, police are just garbage men for human beings. All right. The sanitation, they pick up actual garbage. The police pick up the human garbage. Their job is to tax you. That's it. Their job is not to fight crime. If there's no crime, there's no police. Then they're out of a job. Okay? Like Denzel said in Training Day, right? He said, I don't make little petty arrests like that. I don't pick up trash. Right? He said, I'm an angler. I catch the big fish. Right? That's their job.
For their actions. He took a knee. The very country that Colin Kaepernick took a knee in was founded on protest.
No, not really, bro. The very country that Colin Kaepernick took a knee in was founded on anarchy. It was founded on a coordinated stratagem to attempt to separate from the European structure, the European banking system, which eventually failed. All right, I've gone over this already. The so-called founding fathers, they were Masons, and they were looking to cause an upheaval by separating from the debt that they were under from the Bank of England, which was controlled by the Rothschilds. I believe Nathan Rothschild. All right. Nathan Rothschild already had George III in debt. George III was in debt, and he wanted to put him and in concert with the Bank of England, they wanted to make sure that the American colonies were in debt, which is why they decertified the use of the colonial script and made them borrow money that was printed by the Bank of England on interest in the form of bonds. All right. Americans, they had to write out bonds, which was a promise to pay back the money that would be lent to them by the Bank of England. That's why they rebelled. All right. It had nothing to do with the stamp tax, the tea tax, all that bullshit.
We keep talking about he was disrespectful of the flag. We have yet to address the issue what he was trying to bring attention to. Larry Fitzgerald, he has dreads. Does he need to change his image?
No, he doesn't, Shannon, because Larry Fitzgerald didn't take a knee. Larry Fitzgerald didn't bring strange societal stories that can never be solved or resolved because people don't have an end game. He didn't bring that to the table. All right? Larry Fitzgerald is not somebody whose hair is indicative of his ideological beliefs, Shannon. That's why nobody cares about Larry Fitzgerald's hair. But like I already said, the so-called pro-black, they're gonna look for these little petty and pathetic attempts to cause confusion by bringing up other people's hairstyles.
Kawhi Leonard, on your favorite team, Skip, he has cornrows. Does he need to change his image?
Well, number one, Kawhi Leonard has cut his hair. That's number one. But number two, even if he didn't cut his hair, once again, Kawhi Leonard did not stage an anarchist demonstration by getting on a knee and quote unquote disrespecting the quote unquote American flag. All right. I mean, look, and let's be very, very clear. I don't venerate the so-called American flag or anything of that nature. But you do have to understand that there's going to be backlash when you try to disrupt this system. And if you're going to disrupt this system, at least have an end game, have a real plan. All right. Don't have your plan be, I'm going to do this until police stop doing what they've been doing. In other words, white man, please be nice to me. All right. A lot of you pro-blacks, like I said, you use this inverted reasoning where you try to act like you're so proud to be black. If you're proud to be black, why you care so much about what the white man says and what he thinks? All right. If you really had a ruling class mentality, you'd be saying, we need to get our own police force.
No, he does not. Stop perpetuating this stereotype, Michael Vick. My grandmother used to say, boy, sometime when people get to where they're going, they'll forget where they came from. Michael Vick, you were a convicted felon. Someone gave you a second chance. And you saying that Colin Kaepernick needs to cut his hair to change his appearance, to change the narrative around him. Boom.
I think it's sad that Shannon is trying to shame Michael Vick with his history with the dog fighting. I'm already on record as saying that what Michael Vick did was wrong, but he's moved past it. All right. Michael Vick used logic and reason. He said, look, I want to go back to the NFL. I'm going to have to change my image. I've offended the sponsors of the NFL. All right. That's where the congruency lies, is in the fact that, he's offended his benefactor. He's offended his employer. You must subjugate yourself if you seek reemployment. All right. If whatever job you work at, if you go on Monday and you say, look, I'm quitting, I'm leaving today, you don't give them 2 weeks notice. You could have been a great employee. You leave and you try to come back 2 months later and say, look, I want my old job back. They're not going to give you that job back because now they can't trust you. You're going to have to really, really kiss ass to get that job back. And that's the position that Colin Kaepernick is in. And that's the position that Michael Vick was in, no matter how proficient they are or were not at their job. All right. The trade-off for for the distraction that Kaepernick is going to bring is not worth it, looking at the fact he's going to be a second stringer. All right. He's a limited quarterback.
From what? He's never been arrested. He committed no crime. He killed no one. He abused no one. What is the image that he needs to portray?
Whatever image it is that his boss wants him to portray. You don't want to portray a certain image, don't have a boss. That's why I say so-called black men, let's try to build up towards having our own businesses. Whatever talent the Most High gave you, cultivate that talent so you don't have to answer to anyone.
I don't get it.
No shit.
From Michael Vick, you would think, Skip, of all the guys that would understand this man's plight. Michael Vick went to prison for 18 months. He missed 2 years in the NFL. Michael Vick didn't have to tell anybody that he wanted to play again. And it just so happens there's more coincidence than what we really thought. Because guess how old Michael Vick was when he signed with the Philadelphia Eagles? 29. The very age that Colin Kaepernick, and I have something I'm going to let you go, Rob. Michael Vick in 2006, his last year with the Atlanta Falcons, he had 20 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. Colin Kaepernick in 2016 had 16 touchdowns and 4 interceptions.
That's right. And when Michael Vick went to prison, when he got out, he was not able to go back to the Falcons, Shannon, because he was replaced. All right. There's a saying that history is a chronicling of replacement. Once you render yourself obsolete, you're going to have to cultivate a relationship with your benefactor so that they give you another chance. That's just business. All right. That's business. The same way when your ass got the job at Fox Sports 1, you didn't show up for the interview with a pair of tight jeans on and some Air Force Ones and a ratty looking T-shirt. I bet you came in with one of them bright ass suits that you wear that don't match.
So you tell me, but all Michael Vick did was perpetuate a stereotype and a myth that blacks need to look a certain way in order to be perceived a certain way.
There's nothing mythological about that, and it has nothing to do with race. All right. Anybody knows, even if you're a Caucasian, if you're a punk rocker, if you want to work in corporate America, you have to dress a certain way. You got to clean up your act. You can't come with a mohawk to work. All right. Now you have certain demographics who they let do what they want to do in corporate America. A lot of what they call Orthodox Jews, they allow them to come to work with the yarmulke on their head, things of that nature. But those are religious. All right. Those are not particularly frivolously ideological. All right. Like this phase that Kaepernick seems like he's going through. Who knows? He might not even be the same person in 2 years. All right. He might look back and say, well, that was a phase I was going through. A lot of these guys go through that phase, especially when they seem to be getting puppeted like him.
So should I assume that every white bald man is a skinhead? If you are to assume that every black with cornrows and have on jeans is a thug? Is that what we're doing now? I'm going to judge you by your actions. The man took a knee. He should be praised. I'm going to turn it over. Skip, I want to say this. Skip, you know who Sandy Koufax was. Did you cover him, Skip?
Yeah, well, no. He's way before my time.
Now, I already know what he's about to say. And this is the first time I'm watching this segment. Look at Joy looking like Wonder Woman. But anyway, I already know what he's... I have not seen this segment, but I'm guessing he's going to say that Sandy Koufax didn't pitch during the Sabbath or something like that, or one of the Jewish high holy days during the World Series.
Time, but I know who
Skip,
was, obviously.
in game one of the World Series, what did Sandy Koufax do?
He didn't play.
Because the day fell on Yom Kippur, which is a sacred Jewish holiday.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody drummed him out of baseball.
Nobody said a word. And I don't like to get into ideology, Skip. And, we joke a lot with King James. But in the Jewish community, he's a god. He's mythical, Skip, because of what he did. Now, outside, they might view him differently. How can you miss a game of so importance? Blah, blah, blah. But no. Colin Kaepernick took a knee.
They did win that World Series. So
Let me say something, because that might be one of the most ridiculous statements. And Shannon makes a lot of ridiculous statements, but that's probably the most ridiculous one that I've heard him make. First off, there's a big difference between somebody adhering to their actual religious beliefs as opposed to somebody taking a knee for an ideological, a momentary, and a phase that he's going through, an ideological belief that he doesn't even have an end game to. And then to say that in the so-called Jewish community, he's looked at as a god. Well, I doubt that, bro. Especially since he did it for religious reasons. I doubt that they look at him as a god. They might look at him as an end sample for faith in their religious system. But Colin Kaepernick did not do what he did for any type of spiritual belief system. He did what he did based on an ideological belief, that being him being a Marxist, all right, which is what he is, a so-called communist or socialist. Whatever term you might want to specify. Each term has a different innuendo, but Shannon is he's reaching so hard, and it's because he keeps in contact with Kaepernick, and he wants to portray this image on TV as being this racially conscious dude. Shannon's all over the place, man.
That helps, right, but still, your point is well taken.
Yeah.
And for me, I almost fell off my chair. I had the same thought that you had. I said, say it isn't so that Mike Vick is a company man. He's here wanting to pacify the man. This is where we are now. Mm-hmm. This is like a show. It's not whether or not he hasn't done anything wrong. It's about a hairstyle and a...
I love these guys. The normal pro-black rhetoric, pacify the man. Where's the video of these niggas leading the revolution anywhere? Aren't they at Fox Sports 1 with their suit and ties on? And they need haircuts? Like, what world are these niggas living in? It's what I always say about the so-called pro-blacks. You know, they say the same dumb shit. Oh, well, you waiting for a guy to come out the sky. Yeah, you know what, bro? Yeah, I do have a spiritual belief. I do believe in the Most High and his son. So, since you know what I'm waiting for, my question is, what are you waiting for? Because we know that you internet revolutionary niggas, y'all always talking about not being docile and rising up. What are you waiting for? All you guys know where the nearest police precinct is. You know where the nearest municipal building is. You know where the local judges are, the local FBI offices are. You know where to go if you want to start a revolution. What are you niggas waiting on? I guess you waiting on that hug and that kiss on the forehead from the white man. The fuck out of here, man.
And about cutting your hair. You mentioned some other people.
Yeah, maybe he should get his hair cut at the same place you get yours. The same barber.
People with what they should do. Bryce Harper has long flowing hair. Should he cut his hair?
Does Bryce Harper take a knee against the American mores? All right, is he somebody who is rebelling against what he seems to be injustice in America in a way that has no solution?
Or Jacob DeGrom from the Mets, should he cut his hair that's flying all over the place? This is so silly, and I can't believe Michael Vick went there. I know he's trying to backtrack today.
He's not trying. He did.
Right.
He backtracked.
Because
Colin Kaepernick's hair has nothing to do with him not being on an NFL roster.
Yeah, because he got the pro-black Nazis coming up against him. All right? All the pro-black fascists, the ones who get on TV and talk all that shit, or log on to Twitter and the internet, and everybody's a coon this and a coon that, but then they go to work on Monday and they're standing there by the water cooler, and the first white person that comes up, they're having a 20-minute conversation about nothing, smiling all up in their damn face, and then they go home and log back on the internet and turn back into Marcus Garvey and Malcolm X. Bunch of fake-ass niggas.
What you said yesterday.
Right, but that's what he's saying now, because so many people have come down on him, and rightfully so. This is what's wrong, is that it's always about the superficial, the stuff that doesn't matter. You're right. No one's ever really addressed what he was talking about.
Because they don't care to address it. And the reason, and I've stated this in the past, the so-called pro-black niggas, they're constantly talking about this magical, mystical conversation that's going to occur with the Caucasian that's going to solve all their problems. And this is why I've come to the deduction that they're waiting on this magical hug and kiss, and the Martin Luther King dream of holding hands, and it's going to make them feel better, right? No matter what they talk about, all these pro-black people, they look at the white man as their dad, their father, all right? They need that recognition from him. And it's sad. You can see even Skip Bayless is, Skip Bayless like, oh boy, I gotta talk about this shit again for ratings with these two miserable niggers.
It's still out there, and that's what people miss. And now they want to punish him because he used his right as an American citizen to protest and to bring to light what was going on in this country and what is going on in this country.
No, what's going on in this country is that everyone here is a debt slave. And the so-called black man is the biggest target to be a debt slave because we're behind enemy lines. All right? That's all that's going on. Colin Kaepernick is a communist. Believe me. He has much affection and much love for for Caucasian ideologies. All right? He's an anarchist. The same way that he's talking about black this and black that, he'll be the first one to talk about homosexual empowerment and female empowerment and all. He's just one of, like, you ever see people who are just professional, they're just professional anarchists. They just want to see everybody come up, allegedly. They just want everything to be tossed and turned upside down. That's all he's about. And these niggas, they get caught up in it.
So I was disappointed to just see Michael Vick go there. I'm with you. I'm disgusted. I'm glad he issued a statement, but is that really where we are, Skip?
Unfortunately, that's where we are. So, we gonna be real today?
Absolutely.
Always real?
100.
Okay.
Yeah, be real, Skip.
This is where it might help that I am a white guy, because I think I have a different perspective than either of you two, or maybe Joy, would have at this moment.
He said maybe Joy, because Joy's got a Caucasian parent, so he's like maybe, because, everything with Joy is half and half, just like her race. Allegedly.
Again, I have said from the start, I told you yesterday when we spoke, Colin Kaepernick is better than, I'm going to say 6 or 8. I think I could go 8 deep of starting quarterbacks in this league. And you know that all fall, all I told you was Colin Kaepernick, because of his courage for what he's saying and his ability to speak it so profoundly and clearly, was having profound national impact on an issue that tears my guts out.
He wasn't having profound national impact on shit. All he was doing was filling a media cycle. Right? The liberal media grabbed onto him and what he was saying, and it made it a huge talking point for a few months. Nothing got resolved. Nothing got changed. No provisions were brought up. Nothing was ratified. Obama had to quell the fire. As usual, when it comes to racial topics, he was very uncomfortable because that's not his forte. He's more interested in promoting homosexual rights because he's a homosexual. All right? Allegedly. But he's a homosexual and a pedophile, right? And his wife is a damn tranny, okay? But I know there's gonna be certain so-called blacks that don't like that. I don't give a damn. It is what it is, right? Allegedly.
Which is obviously white policemen shooting unarmed black men, women, whoever, or you said brown also,
Yes.
of color. And I so admire what he has done, but he's on his quote-unquote last legs in this league right now. When Pete Carroll said no to Colin Kaepernick, as you know, because that shocked me, because I thought that was the perfect fit. Because
that didn't shock me at all. Pete Carroll is the normal posing liberal Caucasian. As I've already said, he had to appease his players. And his team is filled with a bunch of internet revolutionaries, a bunch of semi-communist anarchists like Michael Bennett and these other guys who just want to be seen and get caught up in the rabble-rousing. He had to make it look good, all right? There's already some tension there over the Russell Wilson and Marshawn Lynch thing, with Russell Wilson playing the good Negro and Marshawn playing the bad Negro. All right, Marshawn got ran off, so now Pete Carroll is trying to repair his image from that Super Bowl that they blew, and so he brought in Kaepernick. But he knew damn well he was never going to sign Kaepernick.
because that locker room wanted Colin Kaepernick, I'm thinking, uh-oh. Now he's on the clock because I'm not sure he's going to get a job in this league. And I assume he really does want a job in this league, right?
Yeah.
Because you've been in touch with him, right?
Yeah. Well, we're going to continue this on part 3.